Okay, here we've got REmindER from Enjoy Electronics, and what is it? Well, to me, it's a complex performance delay unit. Yes, we've got reverb, we've got LFO, we've got filter banks, we've got extra bits on top, but at its heart, it's this power delay section in the center. And with this, we've got two independent delay lines, a left and a right. And they've both got their own independent sync settings, so you can see half, triplets, quarter, triplets, etc. on both of them. You set them both independently, and they're always synced to the internal clock. The internal clock can be synced to MIDI. I've been using it with the Arturia keystep, and I've been using it with Logic, and it's been flawless. We've got MIDI in, we've got MIDI through, and you've got USB MIDI in as well, and that can also be used for audio in. And we've got 4 outputs because this can be used in quadraphonic mode. I'm not going to demo quadraphonic mode. I haven't got a quadraphonic system and YouTube isn't quadraphonic, but you can assign from these 2 outputs at the back, the 2 sets of stereo pairs. You can assign these to the front and the back or left and right. I'll just quickly show you that. We go into audio source, line in, output assign. There we go. We can change to front and back, etc. And now I've mentioned the DPD mix, I'm going to have to explain what it is. So let's concentrate on this central section first, on the power delay. So let's just set it up something really simple. Quarter beats. Can't hear anything because the wet mix not turned up. Let's turn the wet mix up. There we go. We've got feedback in. This is an infinite feedback. It'll go on forever. So it doesn't do that space echo thing where you end up getting distortions and all sorts of weird, crazy stuff. This will just play back forever. Which opens up loads of really interesting performance things I'll show in a second. But let's just go back to these delays. So wet mix, quarter and a quarter on the left and the right. Independently change the right maybe. There you go, so we've got a quarter and a triplet. Let's offset the right, so this offset knob in the center here, this is offsetting by 8ths, so let's have it on 4/8, so half a beat. Or a quarter beat. So we're getting interesting patterns without trying, aren't we? And then we push these 2 buttons on the top here, and these give dotted notes. Put it back on quarters for now. So that's the essence of the 2 main channels, but then we've got a secondary channel here, DPD, and that's the dual pulse. So on the dual pulses, if we look here on the screen, we can see we can move the position of those extra pulses. So move the left one by just turning it, and we move the right one by pushing and turning. And you can, in the settings, you can change it so that these 2 big knobs at the top alter the DPZ positions instead, but we'll leave it on standard for now. So let's just put these back on quarters just so that we can hear what's happening. Bring in the DPDs. So these are completely separate delays. I've just seen me fiddling with this up here on the left, and this is the filter. We've got a filter for the DPD and a filter for the main delays as well. That's the filter for the main delays. Let's turn those down. We've also got a filter for the DPD mix. And both of these go to high pass when you turn them clockwise. And they go into low pass when you turn them counterclockwise. And that gives us loads to play with. We've got resonance that affects them both on the bottom. And that at the heart of it is how the delay works. If I put on a little sequence on the key step, quite nice. Let's add some of this DPD as well. I'll put some high pass on that so that it doesn't muddy it too much at first. Let's change the timing of that. Now let's have a play with this LFO. We'll put it onto the filter frequency, turn it up a bit, turn the frequency down. Let's change the rate. Change the wave shape. Add some resonance to the filter. Listen to just the DPD. A little play with that again. We can unsync the LFO. If we go to the right hand side here, we've got non-synced patterns or wave shapes. You can see we're changing in hertz there. Let's take the LFO off for a minute and let's play with the reverb. You can go in and change all the reverb settings in the settings, but we'll just leave it as standard for now. Something worth noting is the reverb is stereo. Someone did ask me in a Facebook group if it was stereo or mono. They thought it was mono. It's not mono, but it's not panned left and right. It's panned a bit more central, and I think that's because we've got the left and the right on the main delays. We've got the left and the right on the DPD delays as well. So putting the reverb in full on left and right would really separate everything and sound a little bit unnatural. So it is stereo, but not wide panned. So we've got a high pass filter on the reverb. You see what I mean when I say it's just something that you want to play with. Let's put the LFO on, I don't know, the reverb filter. So there's some really nice little bits in there, aren't there? And one thing I always say about stuff like this, the performance stuff in particular, is make sure you record everything you're practicing, because sometimes something just pops out that's absolutely stunningly good and you're never going to find it again because it's, you know, the result of twisting two knobs at different times and stuff like that. So always record everything is a top tip. Let's change one of the left or right main settings. So here's the sync setting. Every time you tweak it, you get something interesting. Let's try the DPD position again. So that's the sort of fun you can have in playing a sequence there. The other thing I mentioned earlier on was like a performance mode whereby you can use these different modes down here. So let's explain what these modes are. We've got 8 different modes on this, and these are different ways of adding or taking stuff away or changing what's in the delay line. We've effectively got 2 banks of 4 because on the left hand side are the same as on the right hand side, but on the left hand side it automatically does whatever it's going to do, and you press the trigger to bypass the effect. On the right hand side, you press the trigger to access the effect to apply it. So for example, if I go to the right hand side and put it on add, it doesn't add unless I press the trigger. So let's have a little play with that. The add modes add stuff. On the right hand side, it won't add it until I press the trigger. So if I hold a note down, it's only repeating what was playing when the note was triggered. And that'll play forever. And I can play on top of that. And that'll play forevermore. But let's do something similar with that and then start making it a little bit more complex. So we'll leave whatever's happening there because that sounds all right. So let's start again, trigger. In fact, let's do something shorter. Let's try and do like a gated chord. There we go, nice. So even though the note I'm playing is holding on, the actual delay is only sampling a very short bit of it while the trigger's pushed down. Now let's try and alter this delay by using this next mode, which is called manual change. So when I hit the trigger, whatever I play will replace what's in the delay line. So play something low maybe. You can hear that low note is now in the delay line, and it's basically chopped it into 2 sections. One was the original delay and the second one is the low note. And if I don't play anything when I press that trigger, you can get like gated effects. So to clear it, I just hold trigger and don't press anything. It clears it straight away. You can just turn the feedback down and it clears the delay line. So on the left hand side, it's the same thing, but it will record everything to play unless I'm holding trigger. So if I just play something. And you can hear now that that's holding on, and that's because the note on the Leipzig that I'm playing has a... Just turn it off. That note on the Leipzig I'm playing has got a release on it. Take that release off. There we go. So. So here it won't do anything while I'm holding trigger, whereas in the other mode, it will only do it when I'm holding trigger, and that's the difference. So let's have a look at what we've got on the top, shall we? We've got this one called Add a Fraction, and the fraction at the minute is a 32th, 32nd. So when I hit trigger, it will only sample, only use a 30-second long bit of the note I'm playing. If we go into settings, I can change that to, let's put it on an 1/8, shall we? There we go. So I'm going to press this now. You can hear that second note's longer. Let's put it onto, but you can hear we get lovely little sort of glitchy things from this. Let's put it onto a half, shall we? Let's play a high note. Nice. And weird and interesting stuff that you wouldn't normally get. Let's clear it. Okay, let's try doing one of those infinite feedback loops with the Arturia playing a sequence over the top. So the sequence over the top won't be going through the delay because I'll do it on this additional mode over here, so the manual add mode. Let's try something. So yeah, that's how I've been using it. It's a really creative tool. It's one of those things that you end up sitting around and playing for hours. I've got a little jam coming at the end. That's basically using, I think it's the same sequence that I've got on the Arturia at the minute. It's just something I was playing around with last night. But you get the idea. The initial jam that you heard and the final jam you're gonna hear, just using all those little tricks. But it's something that you can really sort of dig into, play around with and have fun. It does have the quad mode. We can't demo the quad mode here, as I said, because we just haven't got the access to 4 speakers in YouTube. But if you do have a venue or art installations and stuff like that, I can imagine this being absolutely brilliant because you can send the DPD to a different place or different speakers to the main out. So those sort of art installations where you've got things spinning around the room are really good. There's a beta of the firmware available on the site where you can download the thing that Loopop had, where you've got 2 sort of spinning balls, and that's sending things through the quad sound field. But it's not on the standard version. As I say, you can download it if you want. I don't have quad, so it's not really much use to me. But I can imagine that in a big venue or art installation, as I say, being absolutely fantastic. And something else to note here is that everything goes through the filter, whether it's pre or post delay. So if I play a note, let's turn the delay down. Whether it's pre or post. And that really works well for all the stuff I've been using it for. But if you wanted to play a piano sound, for example, and then have that piano filtered down through the delay, you can't, because it's going to be filtered before it goes into the delay. Still sound good, but I'm using Analog Solutions Leipzig 3, so I can't play your piano sound, but it would blend well. But just in case you got one and you wondered why it wasn't doing that, it's because it doesn't do it. And the other thing to note that you can't do is have it out of sync. So everything, as I said earlier, is synced to the internal clock or the external clock or whatever clock you've got going. So if you want something that's slightly askew, that's not quite in time, it's not impossible, but it's not easy to do. So this will only sync to BPMs, integer BPMs, so 136, 135, 124. But if you wanted something in 124.3, this will always be, or always stick to 124. So what that means is that if you play something from your DAW with a decimal point, so 122.3 for example, this will be playing at 122, which means that it will be slightly out of time. So you can do stuff that's out of time, you just can't do it simply. You just got to think a little bit laterally about it. But you know, that's because this is designed to have that infinite loop and be able to do all those things perfectly in time. If everything was out of time, it will get pretty chaotic pretty quickly. And the other thing that you don't get are those sort of tape delay sort of switches in tempo and stuff like that, where you get like a pitch shift. This is strictly a digital style delay. So all in all, it's a positive thumbs up for me. It's not your standard delay unit. It doesn't do a lot of the things that you might expect a delay line to do, but it does a lot of things that you don't expect it to do. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please think about subscribing, ring the bell, join me on Patreon, check my affiliate links, do anything you can to support the channel because it really does help. And I will see you next time.